Let's go in order from the surprising and slowly work our way up to the ones that are unbelievable. Number 10, Polydactyly. It's late at night, and naturally, you're at the casino. You spin the machine again, watching the numbers with your undivided attention. A 7, your mouth starts watering. Another 7, your toes start curling. A 1, you are devastated. You scream the most horrible profanities you can possibly think of, slamming your fist on the machine. You scream, "I'm never using this machine again," as you press the button to spin once more. Before you get caught in another trance, however, you hear your phone buzz in your pocket. It's your wife. You quickly answer. After what feels like hours, you come to realize that you were about to miss your firstborn daughter's birth. After a couple of minutes of convincing and one more spin, you decide to leave the slot machine for another time, later that night, and head straight to the hospital. After arriving, you storm past reception to the room to see the most disgusting, horrific thing you have ever seen waiting for you inside. Your daughter. After collecting yourself, you quickly notice something is out of the ordinary. Your daughter has one too many toes. "Doc, what are the odds of this?" you exclaim in disbelief. 1 in 500 to 1 in 1,000, the doctor answers. You think to yourself, how lucky you must be. "I should go buy a lottery ticket," you say as everyone in the room looks at you awkwardly. But no, you shouldn't. And as you run into the hospital toward the closest supermarket to buy a ticket, completely disregarding your newborn baby and postpartum wife, you unknowingly are about to make the most foolish mistake so many other people make. Thinking you can win the lottery, because your daughter's 11 toes were still about 600,000 times more likely than winning it. Number 9, bowling a perfect 300 game. For the people who don't know much about bowling, including myself, I didn't understand the gravity of what this meant. But thankfully, I did my research, and now I do. It is important to mention that this statistic only counts towards experienced bowlers, so definitely not you. You polish your ball, inserting your finger and gripping the inside as firmly as you possibly can. You take your position, feeling the intense stares from everyone else in your lane. You cannot mess this up. With one beautiful, graceful motion, you wind up and send the ball down the lane. You watch in suspense as the ball tumbles forward. This was going to be good, you knew it. Until the ball gutters at the very end, reminding you how much of a failure you truly are. You check your score, knowing the others are definitely laughing at you. But I'm here to remind you that you shouldn't feel too bad about yourself. Scoring a perfect score like your buddy Jimmy did is not easy. In fact, for him alone, there was a 1 in 11,500 chance that he would pull off this impressive feat. And for you, well, that number jumps to 1 in several hundred thousand or worse. And yet, after the match, you stop by your local convenience store to buy another ticket, not knowing that you doing the impossible, scoring 300 in a bowling match, was still about 1,000 times more likely than winning the lottery. Number 8, struck by lightning. For most people, this is the gold standard for rare things to happen. But a lightning strike is basically child's play when it comes to the lottery. You are on your typical morning walk, scratching your lottery ticket. You have gone through 7 tickets now, and of course, you have gotten nothing but a 20-cent water coupon that you found on the ground while walking. You hear a rumble and look up. You had been too invested in your tickets to notice the rolling thunder clouds piling in. You make a U-turn, deciding to head home as you continue scratching your next ticket. Then, in an instant, you are absolutely obliterated by 300 million volts of electricity. And now, crumbled into mush on the ground, you barely manage to say before you pass out, "Where's my ticket? That was going to be the one." It was definitely not going to be. As you wake up in the hospital, the doctor explains to you that you're one of the unluckiest looking people in the state. And before you take it to heart and think he was talking about your face, the doctor explains that being struck by lightning in your lifetime has about a 1 in 15,300 chance. You nod, processing this. Then you ask the doctor if there's a gas station nearby because being struck by lightning wasn't good enough for you. But little do you know that lightning strike was still about 20,000 times more likely than winning the lottery. And as you leave the hospital, gas station in sight, Zeus decides to play games and sends another bolt to pulverize you completely. And as you lay, defeated, I come to remind you that this was still over 30 times more likely than winning the lottery, and then kick your weak, frail, pathetic body. Number 7, dying from a bee, wasp, or hornet sting. Before we begin on this one, I would like to mention that these odds are basically impossible for me. I would never let such a pathetic, small animal do something like this to me. You're at a summer barbecue, burger in one hand, ticket in the other. Unexpectedly, you see something small and yellow below you. You stand, covering it with the paper towel, and clean yourself up in the bathroom. But on your way out, you see something small and yellow below you. Before you know it, the bee had already decided to advance in its attack. It enters your mouth. Immediately, your throat constricts. Your face swells. You collapse. You start coughing, but the bee had already disappeared into your digestive tract. The bee had won today. Fortunately, you managed to barely survive thanks to a stranger's expired Benadryl and a very fast ambulance. The ER doctor tells you that anaphylaxis from a sting like that has roughly a 1 in 54,000 chance of being fatal over a lifetime. You, after processing this information, immediately ask him to grab your ticket from your pocket. But what happened here today still isn't comparable to the lottery. An insect smaller than your thumbnail nearly took your life, and it was still over 5,000 times more likely than your ticket being the winning one. Number 6. Getting hit by a meteorite. I'm being serious. This genuinely only deserves the 5th spot. The things coming up are considerably rarer than this. You're camping. No cell service, but luckily you had stocked up on lottery tickets to keep yourself busy. It's midnight. You decide to take a step out of the tent to relieve yourself. As you do so, you look up at the sky and see a streak of light. You know this must be a sign. Quickly, you make a wish for lottery numbers, obviously. Unfortunately, you immediately notice something is not right as the shooting star gets brighter and larger and considerably more on fire. You wake up with a mild concussion. Jimmy had brought you to the hospital. The doctor tells you that being hit by a meteorite carries odds of about 1 in 250,000 over a full lifetime. Naturally, you ask if the meteorite counts as a lucky object you can rub before buying your next ticket. The doctor leaves the room. Unbelievably so, this unfortunate event is still over 1,000 times more likely than winning the lottery. Number 5. Becoming an NBA player as an American male. This is statistically almost one of the most unlikely things a human can achieve, especially considering that you, unfortunately, are 5'9" on a good day, wearing shoes, standing up straight, and slightly lying. Your entire basketball career consists of a middle school junior varsity bench and one incredible, never-repeated three-pointer your buddy Jimmy still brings up. And yet, through a genuinely unexplainable chain of events, you are now legally and officially an NBA player. In the locker room, still in shock, you ask a teammate if he wants to split a scratch ticket. He looks at you like you just grew an extra toe, but you remind him that that only happened to your daughter. Becoming an NBA player as an American male is roughly 1 in 3.3 million, which means it's nearly 90 times more likely than you winning the lottery. Number 4. Dying from a shark attack. As tempting as it was, you could not keep yourself out of the shark-infested waters. As you swim peacefully, something brushes your leg. This can't be. Before you know it, the 1v1 had begun. Devastatingly, the shark bites down on your leg, falling right into your trap. You start raining down elbows, jabs, and body shots, gouging the shark's eyes and gills. What follows is thrashing, screaming, and a blur of red water. What's left is the shark retreating and you asking for more. As Jimmy drags you out of the water, he tells you that dying from a shark attack carries odds of about 1 in 3.7 million in a lifetime. Thankfully, during the attack, the shark had not shredded your lottery ticket. You scratch furiously. Unbeknownst to you, the win that you desire is still 80 times more rare than Jimmy's claim. But you scratch anyway, because you knew that there was a 1 in 1 chance that you would survive the shark attack, of course, because that's just how we do it on this channel. Number 3. Becoming President of the United States. I promise I'm not kidding. You are genuinely more likely to become the President of the United States than to win the lottery. I don't really have further comments on this, but I'm going to illustrate a scenario anyway. You ran for city council once. You lost. Badly. 5 votes, and 5 of those were from Jimmy somehow. Through an unforeseen series of events, you end up as a write-and-Joe candidate for president, and you begin to suspect Jimmy pulled some strings. 2 years later, you are now the most powerful person on the planet. Right after the inauguration, as you start raining nukes down repeatedly, you turn to your chief of staff and ask if they can run out and grab a ticket real quick, nothing crazy, just the usual numbers. He does not respond and decides to leave. Becoming President of the United States sits at roughly 1 in 10 million for any eligible natural-born citizen. There have been 46 of you in the history of the country, and you were still nearly 30 times more likely to end up on Mount Rushmore than to hit those numbers. Number 2. Having identical quadruplets. After counting your daughter's toes, unexpectedly, 3 more babies fall out of your wife. The doctor is flabbergasted. There are 4, all identical, he says. Your wife's body had just decided entirely on its own to pull off one of the rarest natural events in human reproduction. And the thing that worries you the most is, you are now completely outnumbered if things go south. Yet somehow, your very first instinct is still to ask the nurse if the gift shop sells scratch tickets. Naturally occurring identical quadruplets happens at a rate of roughly 1 in 15 million, and even that is still about 19 times more likely than the correct numbers being in that gift shop. You're better off just counting all of their toes and leaving. Number 1. Killed by a falling vending machine. Here we are, the final boss. You're at the gas station, same one you've been going to every single day of this entire video. You've survived a shark attack, your 4 identical kids have extra toes. Jimmy bowled a 300, you've been struck by lightning twice, stung by a bee, hit by a meteorite, and somehow you're still standing here, scratching one more ticket because tonight is different. You scratch, and after the final 6th number, you are frozen in shock. You had won. You had won the lottery. Against all odds, you had actually won. You can't believe your eyes. Before making any rash decisions though, you decide you deserve a drink and a bag of chips. Fortunately, That is exactly what is left in the vending machine. It really is your lucky day. After typing in the codes, the Diet Coke falls first and the bag of chips follows. But unluckily, the chips get stuck at the end. But you had just won the lottery and decide not to get upset for as long as possible. You grip the machine with both hands and start rocking. You start off gently but quickly get extremely frustrated and start thrashing the machine. Finally, the vending machine tips. The chips fall. But for some reason, the chips looked a lot closer than they should have been. Before you know it, your body is completely flattened. The chips survived, you did not. Being killed by a falling vending machine carries odds of roughly 1 in 112 million. And remarkably, that is still better odds than the Powerball jackpot you spent this entire video chasing, which sits at around 1 in 292 million. And unfortunately for you, the vending machine ending you was almost 3 times more likely than you winning the lottery. Better luck next time.